Imagine a city so advanced, so opulent, it wouldn't be matched for over 1,000 years. A golden age that would ultimately fall under the gaze of a philosopher-emperor. Today we journey back to Rome, not the modern capital, but its ancient peak between 27 BC and 180 AD. In 27 C, Augustus stood before the Senate, publicly claiming to restore the Republic, but in reality, he was restoring the very fabric of the city. "I found Rome a city of bricks," he would famously declare, and left it a city of marble. Over the next 2 centuries, a period known as the Pax Romana, Rome transformed into the greatest metropolis the world had ever witnessed. 1 million people thrived within its monumental temples, massive aqueducts, and towering apartment buildings. This was a city boasting the Pantheon's impossible dome, the Colosseum's 50,000 seats, and public baths that could accommodate thousands. A place where slaves and senators bathed side by side, where clean water was universally accessible, and entertainment was both free and spectacular. This was Rome's golden age, not defined by endless conquest, as the empire ceased significant expansion after Trajan, but by its newfound eternity. Its architecture was designed to last millennia. Its infrastructure would remain unparalleled in Europe for funtime 500 years, and its quality of urban life is something modern cities still strive to achieve. Using modern AI, Vanished Cities has reconstructed Rome at its absolute zenith. We will walk its bustling streets, enter its iconic buildings, and discover how 1 million people lived in humanity's first truly modern city, ultimately encountering the philosopher-emperor who would witness its decline. Imagine 1 million people concentrated within just 6 square kilometers inside the ancient walls, with thousands more extending beyond. When Augustus ascended to power in 27 BC, Rome was reeling from decades of civil war. Its buildings crumbled, its streets decayed, and a population of perhaps 800 endured widespread squalor. Augustus, however, initiated a monumental transformation. He restructured the city into 14 administrative regions, each with its own dedicated leadership. He established the Vigils, Rome's pioneering fire brigade and police force. In a single year, he personally oversaw the rebuilding of 82 temples, launching a continuous building program that would span the next 2 centuries. By the 2nd century AD, Rome had reached its demographic peak, boasting a population of 1 million, a figure not surpassed in Europe until 19th century London. This wasn't merely the largest city on Earth, it was the only urban center of such unprecedented scale. Strolling through the city, one would encounter over 1,000 temples. The Forum Romanum, expanded numerous times, functioned as the vibrant political and religious epicenter. Trajan's Forum, completed in 113 AD, stood as the grandest, stretching 300 meters in length and featuring Trajan's Column, which soared 38 meters high. Its intricate spiral reliefs meticulously depicted 2,500 figures from the Dacian Wars, serving as a monumental stone record of imperial conquest. The Pantheon, masterfully rebuilt by Hadrian between 1118 and 126 AD, endures as an unparalleled architectural masterpiece. Its massive dome, 3 meters in diameter, remains the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome, a testament to the unrivaled ingenuity of Roman engineering. To stand beneath its oculus is to connect with every Roman emperor, senator, and visitor who has gazed upwards from that very spot for the past 900 years. Yet monumental structures were only one facet of Rome's grandeur. The true revolution lay in its infrastructure. 11 major aqueducts delivered over 1 million cubic meters of fresh water to Rome daily, an astonishing volume, providing every resident with 10 liters per day. The Aqua Claudia, completed under Emperor Claudius in 52 AD, snaked 69 kilometers from distant mountain springs, entering the city on arches that reached 27 meters high. To walk beneath these arches was to pass under one of history's most profound engineering feats. This vast water network supplied 1,352 fountains, 11 massive public baths, and hundreds of private residences. This wasn't a mere luxury. It was fundamental urban infrastructure, unmatched by any other ancient city. Beyond the city, a vast network of roads connected Rome to its sprawling empire. The Via Appia, initially constructed in 312 BC and meticulously maintained throughout the centuries, stretched 540 kilometers to southern Italy. Couriers could traverse its length in just 5 days, enabling messages to reach the most distant provinces within weeks. This intricate system was the lifeblood of an empire administering 70 million people across 2 million square kilometers. Rome didn't merely expand. It was meticulously engineered for permanence. Picture yourself as one of Rome's 1 million residents. Where would you live? If you belonged to the wealthy elite, perhaps 5% of the population, you would own a domus. This single-family house, possibly 2 stories high, was typically built around an atrium featuring an impluvium for collecting rainwater. It offered private rooms, a kitchen, and sometimes even a personal bath, all adorned with marble floors, vibrant frescoes, and intricate mosaic decorations, epitomizing space, privacy, and luxury. However, the vast majority of Romans, about 90%, resided in insulae, multi-story apartment buildings that dominated the cityscape. Far from modern apartments, these were essentially vertical slums, often reaching 6 or 7 stories despite laws attempting to limit their height to 20 meters. The ground floor typically housed tabernae or shops opening directly onto the street. Above these were cramped living quarters, accessed by narrow, often perilous staircases. The higher you lived, the cheaper the rent, but also the greater the hardship. No running water, no dedicated kitchen, and no heat beyond portable braziers. Water had to be laboriously carried up from public fountains. Cooking within these wooden buildings, packed with families, posed a constant risk of fire. Toilets were chamber pots, their contents frequently emptied into the street or into communal cesspits. Fire was an ever-present terror. To combat this constant threat, Augustus had established the vigils, a force of 7,000 men organized into 7 cohorts, specifically tasked with fighting the fires that erupted almost nightly in the wooden insulae. The devastating fire under Nero in 64 AD, for instance, obliterated 10 of Rome's 14 regions, rendering hundreds of thousands homeless. Though the city was meticulously rebuilt in brick and stone, the peril of fire never truly abated. Noise, too, was relentless. Julius Caesar had famously banned wheeled vehicles during the day to alleviate congestion, meaning that every night the streets became a cacophony of carts delivering goods, their iron wheels grinding against stone pavement. Residents would shout from windows, and street vendors would hawk their wares at dawn. The satirist Juvenal famously complained that sleep was impossible in Rome. Space was the ultimate luxury. Archaeological findings from Pompeii, preserved by the eruption of 79 AD, reveal a typical insula apartment. A single room, approximately 30 square meters, often housing a family of 5 or 6. Privacy was virtually non-existent. Life unfolded in the public sphere. Fortunately, public space was something Rome provided in abundant measure. Every afternoon, typically around the 6th hour, Romans would flock to the thermae, the public baths. By 400 AD, Rome boasted an astonishing 800 to 900 such establishments. However, the great imperial thermae were architectural marvels, rivaling any temple in their grandeur. The baths of Trajan opened in 109 AD, sprawled across 10 hectares, and could serve thousands simultaneously. Stepping through its entrance, one entered a vast complex that seamlessly combined a gymnasium, spa, library, art gallery, and social club. The experience often began in the palestra, an open-air exercise yard where men would wrestle, lift weights, and play ball games, embodying the Roman belief in physical fitness as a civic duty. Then came the meticulously designed bathing sequence. First, the tepidarium, a warm room for acclimatization, followed by the caldarium, a hot room with heated floors and walls where steam rose, prompting bodies to sweat out the day's grime. Slaves would then use curved bronze trigils to scrape oil and dirt from the skin. Finally, the frigidarium offered a cold plunge pool for invigorating shock therapy. The water was heated by massive furnaces located beneath the floors, utilizing the hypocaust system, a brilliant Roman invention that circulated hot air through hollow tiles in both floors and walls, an engineering marvel still emulated by modern spas. The cost of entry was virtually negligible, often just a quadrans, the smallest coin, equivalent to a quarter of an as. This made the baths accessible even to poor laborers and slaves, who often accompanied their masters. Women also frequented the baths, though Hadrian later mandated separate hours. More than just places for hygiene, the baths were vital social hubs where Romans conducted business, debated philosophy, gossiped about politics, and socialized across rigid class boundaries. A senator might find himself sharing a pool with a shopkeeper, both naked, both equal in the communal waters. The baths of Caracalla, completed in 216 AD, elevated this luxury further with exquisite mosaic floors, towering marble columns, rooms adorned with magnificent statuary, and libraries housing texts in both Greek and Latin. With a capacity for 600 bathers at once, these baths exemplified Rome's genius. providing urban amenities at an unprecedented scale. No other ancient city could compare. The baths unequivocally demonstrated that a city of 1 million could achieve an exceptional quality of life, not merely a vast quantity of people. Yet this unparalleled quality of urban life often came hand in hand with spectacle, frequently brutal. As the satirist Juvenal famously observed, the people that once bestowed commands, consulships, legions, and all else, now meddles no more and longs eagerly for just two things, bread and circuses. Rome's emperors keenly understood this principle. By keeping the masses fed and entertained, their power remained secure. The grain dole, initially established by the Republic and significantly expanded under Augustus, provided free wheat to over 200,000 Roman citizens every month. Later emperors further distributed olive oil, wine, and pork. This was not merely charity, it was a calculated strategy for political stability, ensured through free provisions. But entertainment was the true opiate. The Circus Maximus, with its staggering capacity of 150,000 to 250,000 spectators, hosted chariot races almost daily. 4 racing factions, the blues, greens, reds, and whites, inspired fanatical loyalty, often leading to violent riots between rival supporters. Victorious charioteers became celebrities, often wealthier than senators themselves. The Colosseum, completed in 80 AD under Titus, introduced a new magnitude of spectacle. Seating 50,000, its 76 numbered entrances allowed for complete filling or evacuation in mere minutes, and its elliptical design ensured every seat offered an unobstructed view. The opening games alone lasted 100 days, during which 5,000 animals, lions, bears, elephants, and other exotic species, were slaughtered, many hunted to near extinction solely for Roman amusement. These were followed by gladiatorial combats, where highly trained fighters sought fame, and occasionally freedom, through bloodshed. Yet, the Colosseum's true genius lay beneath its arena floor. The hypogeum, a 2-story basement equipped with 28 elevators operated by slaves, could magically raise animals and fighters through trapdoors, creating the illusion of a lion simply appearing in the arena. Engineering, in essence, crafted illusion. The games were not exclusively violent. Naumachia, staged naval battles, would flood the arena or be held in artificial lakes, while elaborate sets recreated mythological scenes. This was theater, spectacle, and political messaging, all seamlessly merged into public entertainment. It was free, funded by emperors seeking popularity or by wealthy citizens striving for status. This grand system kept 1 million people docile, fed, bathed, entertained, and ultimately politically impotent. Then, in 161 AD, an extraordinary event unfolded. A philosopher ascended to the imperial throne. Marcus Aurelius, raised in luxury and educated by the finest teachers, harbored no desire for power, preferring the quiet contemplation of philosophy to the machinations of politics. His mentor, Antoninus Pius, had meticulously prepared him for duty rather than ambition. Upon Antoninus's death, Marcus, defying tradition, insisted on sharing power with Lucius Verus, establishing the first official co-emperorship. His reign, by all accounts, should have been a continuation of Rome's golden age. The empire stood at its territorial peak. The city had never been more magnificent, and the Pax Romana, nearly 2 centuries of relative peace, seemed destined to last forever. Instead, Marcus was met with catastrophe. In 165 AD, troops returning from the Parthian War brought home something far more devastating than defeat: plague. The Antonine Plague, likely smallpox, swept relentlessly across the empire, claiming the lives of 5 to 10 million people, perhaps 10% of the empire's entire population. In Rome itself, the historian Cassius Dio reported a staggering 2,000 deaths daily at its peak. Bodies piled in the streets, funerals burned incessantly, and the pervasive stench of death choked the city. Marcus remained steadfast, tirelessly administering the empire even as the plague decimated its populace. Soon after, the Marcomannic Wars erupted. Germanic tribes breached the Danube, launching an invasion into Italy itself, the first foreign incursion since the Gauls sacked Rome in 390 BC. Marcus spent years on the unforgiving frontier, leading the fight and desperately recruiting from gladiators, slaves, and bandits as regular recruitment could no longer replace the fallen. It was during these arduous campaigns in his tent on the Danube frontier that Marcus penned his Meditations, private philosophical notes in Greek, never intended for publication. Here, a Stoic emperor reminded himself how to endure. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way, and very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. These were not the pronouncements of a triumphant conqueror, but the intimate reflections of a man watching the golden age crumble around him, striving to uphold virtue and duty amidst unimaginable adversity. Marcus Aurelius never truly enjoyed the magnificent Rome he ruled. While the Pantheon stood perfect and the Colosseum hosted its games, the emperor was on the distant frontier, fighting a losing battle to preserve what was already slipping away. He died in 180 AD at Vindobona, modern-day Vienna, possibly succumbing to the plague himself. His poignant last words to his staff were, "Go to the rising sun, I am already sinking." His son Commodus, the antithesis of everything Marcus embodied, conceded him. Within years, Commodus's incompetence and cruelty shattered the fragile stability. The golden age was definitively over. As Cassius Dio lamented, it was a transition from a kingdom of gold to one of rust and iron. 1 million people, 200 years, one impossible achievement. What Rome constructed during the Pax Romana stands as a testament to human ingenuity. The Pantheon, with its 43 3-meter concrete dome, remains the world's largest unreinforced dome even 900 years later. 11 aqueducts delivered 1 million cubic meters of water daily, providing 1.0 liters per person. The Colosseum, seating 50,000, featured 28 underground elevators and allowed for complete filling or evacuation in mere minutes. The baths of Caracalla spanned 10 hectares, serving 1,600 bathers simultaneously. Over 800 public baths offered hygiene, healthcare, and unparalleled social equality. Trajan's Column, 38 meters tall and adorned with 2,500 carved figures, has stood intact for 5,900 years. A network of 29 major roads connected 372 cities across the empire, and at its heart, a city of 1 million. A population figure Europe would not see matched until 19th century London. Rome proved something no civilization had achieved before. It was possible to build a city for 1 million people and provide them with running water, public baths, free grain, spectacular entertainment, and a quality of life that would not be equaled for over a millennium. Fast forward to today, and modern cities still draw extensively from Roman engineering. Concrete domes, arched aqueducts, grid systems, and sophisticated public infrastructure. The very design of the U.S. Capitol echoes the Pantheon. Every subway system, with its underground complexity, resonates with Rome's engineering prowess, and every welfare state traces its lineage back to Rome's pioneering grain dole. Yet Rome also revealed a profound, darker truth. Even perfection is finite. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, bore witness to the collapse of this golden age. Plague decimated the population. Wars bled the treasury dry, and his unworthy son inherited an empire already grappling with decline. Nevertheless, the city itself endured. When the Western Roman Empire finally fell in 476 AD, Rome survived. Even as its population plummeted to a mere 30,000 during the Dark Ages, its monumental structures remained. The Pantheon, repurposed as a church, was thereby saved from destruction. The aqueducts were severed, yet their majestic ruins still stretch across the countryside. The Colosseum, though stripped of its marble facing, stands as an eternal testimony. Rome did not merely construct a city, it forged the very template that every modern metropolis still follows, concentrating millions, providing infrastructure, offering public amenities, and keeping its populace fed and entertained. The Golden Age itself lasted only 200 years, but the city it created has persevered for 2,000. Augustus found Rome a city of bricks and bequeathed it marble. Marcus Aurelius inherited that marble and saw it begin to rust, but the marble endured. And in its enduring presence lies the incontrovertible proof. Rome was built for eternity. The Pax Romana concluded in 180 AD, yet Rome, the idea, the architecture, the city never truly died.